Hello, welcome to a Render Spaz tutorial. Here we are looking at creating this modern looking sink and faucet. And we're just going to replicate this reference image. As you can see, the water's coming down and whatnot. So what I'm going to do is start off with creating some basic shapes, starting with the box, and just kind of block out what we're going to be creating here, and that's starting with the back wall. What I do is I will start off with actual height, real world height dimensions, and then work from there, just so I know kind of an approximate how big I want the sink and how big I want the vanity, whatnot. So I'll start off with the back wall, create the vanity. Roughly, I'm thinking around, I believe it's going to be around 4 feet. So we'll just create that. Okay, and we're just blocking out what we're going to be creating here. This way we get a really good sense of, direction of where we're going and how we want this to look. So we'll just put in the pieces together here. Okay. And I'm going to center these in the grid. Now we're going to start off with creating our faucet plate, where the water is going to be pouring. And I actually noticed, I've actually created this video already, so I'm just voicing over it. What I've noticed already was that the water positioning is that I did in this this scene setup is that I actually put the water on top of the plate, which is actually supposed to be coming out of the side of the plate, a little thin line. But anyways, it's okay. It shows, it kind of just shows the idea of what this should look like. It's just a little mistake there. Other than that, we're going to continue with the plate here. I'm just going to set a chamfer box for this, and this way the plate, I can now get myself some segments so that I can curve it roughly around 8. And then just going through, looking for a bend modifier, bend a modifier up. Let's do with the angle of, direction of 90. And then our angle, actually your angle is a little bit of a curve there. So you can see here we got a curve. And just going to put it back towards the wall. Give it, that's about right. So now what I want to do is actually create a 6-foot box to replicate the average person's height. So we'll go in at 6 feet. And just kind of get an idea what this makes sense. So let's see here. The wall, I might do an 8.5. I believe. So I'm just going to drag it up kind of manually. Alright, now the vanity, we're going to extend this and bring that up to about 4 feet, I believe. About 3.5. Put that up. Okay, and I noticed, yes, we have a little bit of the bend going on this. There we go. Just put that 90. All right, so I'm just going to move these around, just kind of get a feel for where we're going to have the bowl later because we're going to create the synth bowl, and just want to make sure that we have enough height. And if someone was to bend down to wash their hands, that it would make sense. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of the guy, or the guy. I'm going to get rid of the person there, and just move across. Alright, so we're going to start to create the faucet handles. So let's start off with, what I like to do is go using the line tool, and I'll get a rough shape. And from the rough shape, then I will then go in and fine tune it. So let's just start. And I have the reference image on the other screen that you guys can't see, so I'm just kind of glancing at it to kind of get an idea of how the profile of this handle is. So what I'm creating now is the base of the handle. So we're just gonna curve it in. Go. Okay, just go right back to our 0 line there. 0 point of the grid. You can see it's kind of roughed up, but this kind of gives me an idea of what I want. So now I'm going to go in and just kind of fine tune these areas. It's pretty straightforward. Fillet. Go. Pull this down a bit. And we're just looking at, just kind of smoothing it out so that it's not as rough when we go to make this a 3D object. So we just want to really kind of round off these corners, just be really, really just refining it so that it's going to look good as we start to build the 3D geometry. So just going to add some more curves here, a little more refining, fillets, just to kind of smooth it out. Smooth these corners off, and now, all right. Now let's just check it out. Let's go into our lathe modifier, and let's go to our minimum. You can see we're kind of inside out here. That's because our point that goes to the 0 line needs to be moved over just a bit. There we go. Snap, and there we go. We have a welded core, and there we go. We got a basic shape. We got a little problem there up at the top. Fix that. Just push it until it goes away there. Smooth it. Oh, let's go to 0. Let's take this one. If you do 0 there, something kind of gets all weird, gets hollow. So. There, fixed. Now, let's just kind of bend this down. And we're almost there. Let's add a little bit of, let's add another point here, because this actually kind of curves off here where the neck is. So we're just going to curve that neck down a little bit. Just a nice little bend. Now right now I'm just kind of moving things around, just trying to fit it into shape, and then I will now go to our line tool. Let's do fillet, smooth this out. It's very sensitive there. Done. Let's add some more segments. Let's get this a little bit of smoother. I'll center our pivot. Down to, let's see, 36. I'm going to go with 56. That gives us a little more. Gives it a little more condenser. Port ends. Alright, let's go to 90 degrees and let's bring it down. Let's get it into the scene. Okay, so it's all big, so I'm going to scale it down to proper size. And let's get it close to the wall there. Go. And we're going to shift drag out, and we're going to actually want this to be an instance. So if we change this, the one, the other one will be affected. So we're just going to go to instance and hit OK. Okay, right now actually looks like a happy face. It's kind of neat. So, alright, so now what we're going to do now is center these guys, making sure they are symmetrical. And now, let's see, we need to adjust a bit. As I'm looking at the reference image on my right side monitor here, I can see that there's a little bit too big of the base, is a little too big. So we're just going to shorten that up a bit. So I'm just going to grab it, just kind of, oops, let's try that. There we go. Just squish it in a bit, and let's make it a little bit smaller so you can see the difference here. So you might just need to do this part instead. There we go, that's exactly what I want to see. Okay, so we went from that to this. So you see the big difference there. You see the other one's affected as well since we instanced it. Let's kind of shorten these up a bit too, it's a little long. There we go. Just gotta smooth this out a bit more. That's all she writes there. Okay, so our next step, let's see. The next step that we got to do is create our handle, the knob parts. So what we're going to do is take a look at this for a reference. As you can see, we have this will be almost the same effect as that we did with the base. But this time, what we're going to do is we're going to just do a little bit of we're going to do the same kind of trick. Okay. I'm just going to add a little more segments to the base. Or sorry, the faucet plate, and let's start to create the handle here. Okay, so this is the same technique that we just did with the base part. So we're just gonna go on over and use our famous line tool to get this effect in. So let's just go inside over here, find a nice empty spot, create a line. Okay, and I'm just gonna rough it out again. And then I just usually rough it out, and then, you know, I kind of play with the shape until I get the results I'm looking for. Just going through, looking at the reference image on my other monitor here, just to kind of see what we're after here. You can see it just looks very, it's not exactly what we want, so we just got to go in and fine tune and get kind of the look that we want. And I always like using this way. These are the ways I like this method of modeling. Here you're going to create, you know, if you want to create glassware, or if you want to, you know, anything. Anything that has a kind of, you know, same shape all around. It creates, like, you know, spindles on for steps and stairs and all that stuff. So this is a really cool tool, and obviously this has been around for a long time. I like using it for getting these types of tasks done. So I'm just gonna mess around with the object here. I just want to get this looking kind of like a ball. So I'm just gonna move the shape around until eventually it fits into place. That's pretty good. Let's get in there. Shorten this up a bit. Let's just trim over here a little bit here. Move on to our second part here. Round this off as well. Okay, let's get in there. We really want to get this round, just so it doesn't, I don't want it to look lumpy, nothing like that. We just want to round this off, basically. Just kind of going through my points here and finding my spots and what I really want. So just want it to flow naturally. There we go. Let's start to work its way in there. Let's bring this guy up, down a little bit. Just get some nice creasing going here. Go. Okay. Just keep pulling, keep working it out, and then you'll get a nice shape. Just kind of want to be as round as possible here, because these are just kind of like, they're just almost like spheres, just as round as them, but then just kind of, they're kind of merging to each other. So you get the idea. So let's finish this up, and then yeah, we'll move on. Okay, so actually, pretty close to liking these results. There's a lot of trial and error here. It's just kind of moving things until eventually it all works out. Let's make this a little shorter. The great thing is you only do one. The other one's just instanced, and and that's it. The handle will be finished for both. Okay, this is kind of weird here, so let's just kind of fix this up. Pull it out a bit. Let's get this to come out. Still not happy with this, so I'm just going to fix this up, smooth it out. Make this a little bit rounder. Bring it up. Just keep doing this, moving around and getting it into the spots that I want. Sometimes you just want to be careful too how much refining you're doing and how much points you have. The more points you have, the more you have to move them. So the less, the smoother, but also the more you have, the more vertices. The more vertices you have, the obviously the dense thing model will be. So, for some reason here, I'm just going to make this a little bit smaller. Just get it. Actually, I don't mind that. That looks pretty sweet. There we go. So I think we're just going to round this up. Let's get this brought in a little bit. It's a little bit coming out. Let's add piece here. Smooth that out. Go. Smooth its cut a bit up here, make this more like a sphere, and that's it. Pretty sure, but maybe just kind of this is a little too big up here. Just fix this up, and it's more like a sphere. Let's get this kind of little detail here. Let's just add a little bit of a lip. Go. Bring that in a bit. There, you can see that lip. This is kind of what we want. Sort of bit. If you don't mind that, that looks good. Just a little bit of a lip. That's gonna look good when you put some chrome material on that. Just little details, you know, fine details that work. When you get those close-up shots, you really notice that stuff. So, okay, so let's get this into place. It's about time I actually got that all finished up. You know, it's just put a lot into your work, and you know, you'll get some really cool results. So, okay, I'm just going to move this in position, and we're getting there. So what I want to do here is just get it very close to the end of the base there, and I'm just going to push this right into it here. So if you look at, just kind of want to match up, kind of like these would be welded together. There we go. Just take off my realistic mode there. Very shaded. You can see there, that works. Fits in nicely. Do is we'll center our pivot, or actually, sorry, we won't do that yet. We'll just squish this down a bit, just get into place. You'll just notice these little things as you start to begin to put it in place. You will kind of notice either, you know, the object might be too small, too big, or it could be too long. So I just kind of scaled it down. I feel like it's a little bit too long, so I just want to shorten up the handle there. So what I'm going to do is just going to kind of bring this in, just do these little tweaks. There we go. Okay. So now we're going to go and now let's instance this. Could use the mirror tool, but instead I'll just drag it over and rotate it. No problem there. I'm just going to eyeball this. There you go. There you have it. It's 2 handles. There's our plate. Now, it's looking pretty good. You can see the reference. It's looking pretty similar to the model. You know. Now I think what we want to do next is grab this bowl. Like we want to do something with this kind of. We want this kind of bowl to be in there. A nice glass bowl instead of this one. There's the porcelain one, but we're gonna go to the glass. It's kind of a cool look. So let's create that. Very straightforward. I'm gonna go over to our sphere. And create a sphere out onto the grid. Okay. See, we want, let's go with 56. Let's make it quite dense. And we're going to scale it down just a bit. Right now, it looks like a happy face. Yeah, that's about good. We're just going to cut it midway down there, and we're going to need to flip these normals. Actually, you know what? Instead of that, we're going to go. Oh yeah, okay. We'll flip the normals, and then we're going to go to a shell modifier. That will give us the thickness that we're looking for the bowl. So what I'll do here now is another shell. There it is. And let's play with our inner, or sorry, our outer. Get kind of the thickness that we want. That's about good. Okay, I'm going to convert this to an edible poly, and let's bevel in these edges, get a nice round look, rounder than what we're seeing here, and that way it picks up the light nicely. Maybe something straight up there looks good. So loop here, chamfer, and let's tighten this up a bit. Let's get some lower segments. Perfect. There we go. Okay. We're getting there. Let's see here now. What we want to do here is create where our drain's going to be. Let's squish this down a bit more here. Okay, this is soft selections. Let's flatten out the bottom here just a bit. Alright, around there or so. Should do it. About there. Okay, so now we have a nice profile already there for our drain. I'm not going to be putting the camera near this area, so I'm not really focusing too much on detail here. You can if you want to, because maybe if you want to get like an up top shot, the water going in, you want to see those details, then that'll look good for that. But for this particular tutorial, I'm just going to kind of do something very brief. chamfering. Just get those inner edges there. See if I can grab it. Stubborn. Zoom in. Just grab ring. There we go. Delete those out. Let's grab these edges, loop it, and holding shift and dragging down. Actually, here, let's just pull this up. No, actually not. I'm going to do an extrude. Now we're going to grab those edges. Chamfer. Some segments, tighten it up. And we're just going to go down. Oops, got my edge constraints on. Let's take those off. Find there, where are they? Nope. There we go. Let's go to none. Bring it down. Let's take these outer edges and say here, it's going to grab those inner ones that I was working on there a second ago. I'm just going to actually bring those in first. Just kind of down somewhere to the vanity there. Let's grab these outer ones, do the same thing. We're not going to see this area here, so just kind of drag it in there. Okay. And we're going to need to select those outer edges, and we'll chamfer those and get a little edge on them. There we go. That's pretty straightforward. And let's bump this up, just round this up. Just make it a little rounder. That should do it. Well, that's not going to work. You can't do that, so this is good enough. Alright, so let's get a turbo smooth modifier on. Okay, we're pretty much there. So that concludes this part of the tutorial. There'll be 3 parts. The second part, we're going to start getting ready to put some materials on, setting up the scene, getting some textures going, and then our rendering will be up shortly. Thank you guys for watching.